How you doing?
Can you describe your emotions? How nervous were you? And the section of play, first half was a little shaky, and then you got it together.
Yeah, man. I mean, all glory to God. First half, like you said, I mean, first game jitters. I mean, they're a great team. Minnesota has a great defense. Thank God I have great teammates. I mean, they encouraged me. So I mean, that's kind of what happened in the second half.
And how much of a security blanket is it to have receivers like Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, those are two of the best receivers in the country, the best receivers in the country. So I mean, thank God they're on my team.
We'll go front row, Austin. CJ, when did you feel like those jitters went away, and what was working there in the second half, maybe once you got comfortable?
I mean, everything that we called was great. It's just, I mean, some things just don't go the way you want them to, and that's kind of was the first half. I mean, the time of possession was kind of crazy. I mean, they held the ball, so I feel like we were off the field for a while in the first half. I mean, kind of got cold in there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's raining sideways, and I mean, so like I feel like that had to do with it a little bit, but I mean, we got the win.
We'll go second row, Jared. CJ, obviously you haven't watched a lick of tape yet, but as you came off the field, where did you feel like, especially at halftime, as you came off the field, where did you feel like you weren't quite hitting? And then how do you feel as you walk off second half? Where did you succeed?
I mean, in the game of football, I mean, you have your ups and downs. I mean, everything doesn't go the way it's supposed to. I mean, I felt in the first half, I just my mind wasn't right. I mean, I was kind of all over the place a little bit. So I mean, talking to my teammates, praying a lot, just trying to lock back in. And I mean, I don't feel like I did terrible, but I mean, I definitely didn't do as best as I could in the first half.
Were you like a
No,
finding guy?
no,
Did you
sir.
feel like you did okay there?
No, yeah.
We'll go right here, Stephen Means.
CJ, coming to that point, I mean, the pick, can you just take us through what happened there, the miscommunication with Chris Olave?
Yeah, man. The look that we thought we were gonna get, we didn't get. Kind of forced it on my end. Should have just handed the ball off, but I mean, like I said, things in football happen like that sometimes. So we went through perseverance in this game, a lot of adversity, and we end up coming out with the dub.
You're talking basically you have to settle down.
Exactly.
Like what happened? Like, did it take till halftime? Did it take till second quarter? When did you kind of see yourself settle down and kind of, okay, I'm here now. I'm in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like right when I came in the locker room, everybody was encouraging me, telling me that I can do it. They all have my teammates have belief in me, and I mean that was the biggest thing.
We'll go right here to Rob Oliver.
Have you heard from coaches that you don't have to win a game, that you've got these weapons and you just have to get them the ball? Is that part of the mindset that don't do too much? I think you just talked about that a little bit.
I mean, yeah, I mean I have great teammates, but I think I'm a great player too. I mean, maybe the first half didn't show that, but I know I did my best in the second, and I feel like I did really good in the second. I mean, like I said, in the game of football, you have ups and downs, and they believe in me. You know what I'm saying? So um, they put me in a situation to get them the ball, and I mean that's a big opportunity for me. That's a big task. So I feel like I did that.
Did the game plan change at all for you? Coaches try to simplify things or just get it, you threw a screen pass or a swing pass there, I know. Anything change game plan wise?
No, sir. Coach Day, I mean, he told me no matter how I'm playing, good or bad, he has trust in me and he believes in me. So, I mean, just having a head coach like that, I mean, it's a blessing from God, and he's a great man for that.
All the way in the back, Clay.
CJ, how big a lift was the play by Zach Harrison and Haskell Garrett to go up 10 points right now?
Yeah, that was an amazing play. I mean, not even just that play, that this whole game. They definitely had a great impact on this game and getting this win.
Go right here in the front, Adam Brittenberg.
Yeah, CJ, you mentioned the belief coaches have in you. How did that show as the game went on, especially with the big plays? Did they still wanted you to challenge guys?
Yeah, I mean, before we started the game, they told me we're gonna have ups and downs, and opening up with a tough opponent in a conference game with Minnesota. I mean, we kind of knew what was up. We knew that we might have some first half trouble, but I mean, we all came together, and that's why we call each other a brotherhood.
We'll go Bill Landis right behind him.
CJ, Coach Day said a couple of times that one of the things he liked about you during camp was that when you did make mistakes, you seemed to learn from them, you seemed to bounce back in a positive way from them. Do you feel like you kind of put that on display tonight? They're not playing maybe as well as you wanted to in the first half.
Yes, sir. Definitely, I feel like my whole life has been perseverance. I mean, things don't go the way that you always want them to, and I mean, uh, thanks to God that I mean that I've been through a lot. So I mean, that just helped me in that situation. I got my poise back, and when it was ready to go in the second half.
And when you guys dialed up that, I guess it was a screen to Trey. It seemed to work out perfectly, and I'm wondering like, at what point did you know he was going to score?
I mean, that was a great call by coach. I mean, they kind of on third down, they have funky looks. I mean, they run around, and I mean, my read was definitely it wasn't simple, but it wasn't hard. I mean, I just had to get the ball over the defensive end, and I mean, Trey made a great play, great cutback. I mean, he's going to be a hell of a player.
Right here, Doug.
CJ, having a game like this where you come out in the second half and play the way you did after maybe not doing what you wanted to do in the first half, what will that do for you next week against Oregon and down the line now that you've been through something like that?
Yeah, it's a great learning experience. I mean, I just talked to Coach Wilson and Coach Day, and I mean, they're happy with how I played and how I handled my adversity. I feel like I kept my head up, I stayed positive, and my teammates, they just kept egging me on. And going into the Oregon week, I mean, you never know what can happen. It can happen again, but it's all about what you're gonna do when you get punched in the mouth.
We'll go second row, Dan Hope.
CJ, just to have that interception in the first half and then to kind of come back in the second half and settle things down. I mean, how much do you think that specifically was kind of an important moment for you to be able to move forward and bounce back when you have a mistake like that?
I mean, yeah, mistakes happen. Definitely, you can't stick on it. You got to keep going. I mean, you got to just keep going. I mean, the past is the past. You can't do nothing about it. I mean, if you sit there and soak, it's gonna soak into you. You know what I'm saying? So, definitely just had to move on and be positive about the situation.
We got Coach Day ready for you, so one last question, Joey Kaufman.
CJ, you were able to take some deep shots down the field. Is that a belief you have in yourself? Is it something the coaching staff talked to when doing this game?
Yes, sir. I mean, we knew that with their structure of their defense, we were gonna be able to take some shots, and I think that's a very strong suit of my game. I think I can throw the ball down the field really well. Definitely got some work to do with other throws. I mean, just kind of wasn't feeling it in the first half, and second half came, I just was feeling those throws again. So.
At one point, too, you came down on your shoulder. It looked like. How did that feel after that, and how did you feel recovering?
Yeah, man, I think I haven't played football in like 2 years and got tackled in 2 years. So, yeah, I felt that one a little bit, but I'm okay. I'm good.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Right over here, and all the way at this end of the locker room, all the way at this end and the other end. Coach, you want to make an opening statement or just go to questions?
Yeah, opening statement. Really proud of the way our team played in the second half, and especially, in that fourth quarter. I thought that we learned a lot from this experience. To say that I'm surprised with the way it played out, I'm not. We played a lot of young guys on the road, conference game. First time playing with fans in a long time. Quarterback who hadn't thrown a college pass before. But the way we rallied and played, especially in that second half, we got a lot to build on here. And very excited coming out of that locker room.
Open them up right here, Austin.
Ryan, you said you're not surprised. When you look at that first half, was it feeling out? Was it trying to get your feet back on football? How would you describe what was happening there?
Yeah, no, I thought we came out on offense that one drive, hit that big, that big run, which was great, and jump up early, and then, Noah gets that field goal, which obviously you want 3 points. I mean, you want a touchdown, but we get 3 points. And then, it's hard when the time of possession goes the other way with Minnesota. I mean, they do a great job. PJ does a really good job, and they play complementary football. And there was a point there in the second quarter where, we just couldn't seem to get the ball back, couldn't get off the field on defense. And so there were some new guys in there feeling it out, and sometimes runs, instead of going for 1 or 2, they went for 3 or 4, and they stayed on schedule, hit some passes. And then it took a little while, I think, for us to get in a rhythm on offense with CJ. But, that's his first game ever. I mean, that was his first pass. It was the first play of the game, that ever. So there's a lot going on there. And so when you go into situations like that, that it may be a little bit murky early on, and that's what happened.
Right next door, Steve.
Yeah, Coach, I want to ask you about CJ. He admitted here a minute ago that he didn't feel like he was locked in at all in the first half. He was kind of struggling, getting his bearings. But it seemed like whatever you guys said to him at halftime, teammates settled him down. The second half made some big plays.
Yeah, well, you don't just walk out at Ohio State at quarterback and it just, you go out there and throw 3 or 4 touchdown passes and call it a day in this conference. Minnesota's a very good team. PJ does an excellent job. That's a very well coached, hard playing team. And going on the road is not easy in this conference to get wins. And so it doesn't just happen. And, I think for him, there was a lot of things he was doing for the first time. And when that happens, You know, it takes some time. Now, you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, there were a couple times where things weren't really going well. He missed some passes, but he fought through it. And he and I had a conversation early on that we're going to keep swinging no matter what happens. And we're not going to play it close to the vest. That's not the way we do it here. And he responded. But I think really it was the guys around him. I think when you look at the defensive score that we got, that was huge. But then the guys up front, Chris, Garrett, I mean, those were big plays. And then obviously the play with Trey down on that third down was big.
Over here to the left, Bill.
Yeah, the defense is really, first of all, you played a lot of guys. Was that the intention to play that many guys, and how did you kind of assess the performance?
Yeah, I got to look at the film and see. I mean, they ran the ball really well and controlled the game a little bit. So we'll look at it. But like you said, there was a lot of guys who played a lot of football. So we have an opportunity now. We recruited a lot of young players, and we lost those 4 linebackers. And because of that, and you could see that we played, we matched some personnel a little bit differently this game. And now we're going to have to go back and assess and really get a feel for that, because when you're going in scrimmages and practice, you get a good feel for things, but you don't really know until you get into a game. And I think it's going to sort itself out a little bit, but we do like playing depth, and guys who deserve to play are going to.
Over here to the right, Adam.
Yeah, Ryan, you mentioned keep swinging for a young quarterback. What does that approach do, especially when you obviously have a lot of guys that can help him out and extend the field the way you do?
Yeah, I mean, I told them early on there's no expectations going in. You might throw 4 interceptions, you might throw 4 touchdowns. I don't know what's going to happen. Again, you don't just, I know everyone thinks you just walk out there and you're going to, throw for 300 yards and a bunch of touchdowns. It doesn't just work that way. There's a lot of things for a young quarterback to process who has never played. I wish last year that we had those 7 games that we didn't play where he had played, 150 to 200 snaps and thrown the ball. He didn't have any of that. Not one snap. I shouldn't say not one snap. He had a few snaps, but not one pass. Just a couple plays here and there. So usually this is a very unique situation for somebody who has really zero experience to go into a conference game on the road like this against a good team. I mean, this is a team who was top 10 in the country before last year. So, but yeah, very, very impressed with the way he just kept swinging.
Right behind him, Bill.
Ryan, how close was Seven Banks being able to play, and do you think he and Cam Brown could go play next week?
Yeah, I hope so. We had Seven ready, kind of an emergency role, and we're looking forward to getting those guys healthy to play next week.
Right behind him, Nathan.
Just go back to how many guys you played on defense. Like, I don't know. Do you guys not know yet who your best guys are there? Like, are you still trying to? I know you're not trying guys out because you're playing a game against conference opponent, but are you still trying to figure out who the guys are you can rely upon?
It's close. We have a lot of depth, and so we're playing a lot of depth right now. And maybe it sorts out a little bit differently as we watch the film and guys solidify some spots. But until then, it was really close in a lot of positions, and we'll have to look at it and see if maybe we need to have a little more continuity in certain positions. But if when it was that close, guys deserve to play, then we're going to play depth, and I think that's going to serve us well. Certainly down the road. I think, when you start with maybe a non-conference game and, you can get some guys into the game in the second half, it's a little different when you start with a conference game. And we knew that coming in. The whole goal here was to go 1-0, and now the next goal is to go 2-0. And then we come up for air and figure out what's next because it was a one-game season here, and we didn't care what the score was. And it's going to be the same thing next week. And then we'll kind of come up for air and figure it all out.
Right behind him, Nathan.
How long expectations about Gary Miller, and how did you feel like Luke did, especially I guess considering the circumstances and the conditions, and maybe not having that much time?
I thought he did an excellent job, stepping in a big way. There's another young guy that has very, very little experience, handled the weather, handled the calls, handled the environment, the fans, and we'll see how he grades out. But I thought he handled everything really, really well.
Where we have to play, do you know what the situation is?
It's more that's more day to day right now. Yeah.
Over here, Rob Olick.
Ryan, you talked about bounce back after the interception. You never know where it's going to go.
Right.
How happy are you the way he responded? Was part of that you talking to him?
I mean, I told him going in that something like this was going to happen, and you better start. You got to deal with it before you get into that environment, because if you're trying to figure that out and figure out your feelings and your emotions in the game, it's not good. So, one of the things that we talked about going in was that whatever those expectations are, like just throw them out the window, and we're gonna have to be resilient. and I was impressed with it. It wasn't a great read and it wasn't a great throw.
Go all the way to the back. Just going to do 2 more questions
Just
with Coach.
just the one thing I just wanted to say though, in that situation for him, you can say as many things as you want in practice, and you can go against the scout team, but until that actually happens, and you actually see the consequence for what you do, that's when you learn, and that was a learning experience.
Way in the back. Clay?
Ryan, what's the impact of a defensive touchdown tonight? Harrison and Garrett double team.
I thought that was probably the difference in the game, and then some of the explosive plays on offense, certainly. But that anytime you get a defensive score, whether it's a block punt or something like that, that flips the scoreboard. It really is a huge game changer.
How'd the sideline react? I mean, could you tell
Yeah, I thought again our sideline. I thought the energy in that, especially in that third to fourth quarter, there was as good as I've been around. It was fun.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much. We're going to talk about that defensive score right now. We've got Haskell here.
There he is.
Sit on the inside chair if you don't mind. All right, we'll open it up. I want to try to get some guys that didn't get to get Coach first. Dan, you want to lead off? Okay.
Haskell, just to be out there with so many different guys on defense tonight, just curious, what was that like from your perspective to kind of have so many different players in the game on your defense?
That's what camp is for. We actually had a full year and a full camp, and we developed that camaraderie and that chemistry amongst each other. So it's new faces, but still the same defense.
And we're going to have Zach Harrison join Haskell. Go ahead, Bill.
Haskell, you have what I would consider now a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown. How would you describe your versatility?
I mean, really, it's just I was in the right place at the right time, and when my number was called, I was just there, and I wouldn't have done what I did without this guy. So
We're going to go over here to Stephen Means.
Zach, you just want to break down your strip sack?
I just got off the ball and used my hands, used my technique, and bend the edge and saw the quarterback, and I was like, I'm gonna just hit him and try to get the ball out, and I did that, and bro scored it. So.
Who's Jay teaching you guys to go for the ball or go just try to hit the quarterback?
He always says sacks are good, but strip sacks change the game. We as a D-line, we take that to heart. In practice, but we're always working every time we come around the edge, just swipe at the ball, swipe at the ball, swipe at the ball, and it was just second nature, just kind of muscle memory at that point.
And go way in the back at the cameras. Is that you, Justin? Or Spencer, go ahead.
Are we live?
Zach, you watched your freshman year. You watched Chase make game-changing plays on a game-to-game basis. You've been compared to a lot of those guys before you. To have one of those game-changing plays now on your own, what does that feel like to maybe get a little bit of that weight off your shoulders?
I mean, I don't like to compare myself to anybody. I feel like I'm Zach Harrison. I'm trying to build my own legacy here at Ohio State, and I'm just happy we wouldn't want to know. I'm happy I could help the team get a win, and that's all that matters to me.
Over here to the left, Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Haskell, when you hear fat man touchdown, is that offensive to you? Do you take pride in that, or do you consider yourself a little more in shape than that?
I mean, it just shows that big dudes can run, and we got nimble feet nowadays. Not back in the day they used to just be big and just plug up space, but I think there's an evolution of linemen that are athletic and we can run. So it's whatever.
Anybody else over here? Front row, Austin. Yep.
Zach, that strip there, that seems like the kind of play a year ago you guys talked about was just like maybe half a second out of your reach. What's the difference for you or for that freshman unit as a whole that tells you can keep doing that more and turning them into what you want?
Just practicing hard and just working the technique in practice, and whatever happens in practice happens in games. And so during practice, I've had a few plays where I could have got strip sacks. Quarterbacks aren't live, but it showed up in the game, and that's something that Coach Jay preaches, and all the DNs are capable of doing is making game-changing plays like that.
Over to the left, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Zach, you mentioned Coach Jay had said strip sacks can change the game. Do you feel like that play changed the momentum?
I mean, it definitely brought some energy to the sideline, and it added 7 points to our score. So I feel like, it definitely had an impact on the game.
Over to the left, back row, Tony Gerben, Buckeye Scoop.
Zach, how do you think the pass rush did tonight?
Good, but we have a lot of room to improve. Once we hop on the film, we're gonna see that there was a lot of plays that we could have taken advantage of, and we just didn't. And that's the the fun thing about coming out of this game with a win is that we have so much room to improve and get better coming on to next week and coming on to the season ahead of us.
We'll go over here to left, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, for both of you, you were two of the few veterans that played tonight. What was it like trying to integrate those guys? Obviously, there was some growing pains. How do you think you guys progressed throughout the game?
Well, I think for the most part, just really, we got to lead. And, I mean, we're picked as captains for a reason. And so the way we lead, everybody will follow. And so really, like I said earlier, it's new faces, but we still got the same defense. And like they always say, we reload.
Yeah, to stand.
Go ahead.
I mean, he pretty much answered that. I was just going to answer because I thought I had to.
We'll go last question for these two. Very back, Clay Hall,
Same
WSYX.
play, how can that bond the defense? How, or the evolution of this defense?
Yeah, it's. I mean, we just, like I said, we just got so much room to get better, and we all know that, and we're all excited to get better and to play and just to play better and continue to grow. Like you said, a lot of guys who don't have that much experience. You know, we had started 2 corners who didn't have very much game reps, and that's something that, you know, it takes time to get used to playing corner, and they balled out. You know, all our corners had a good game, and same with the linebackers who didn't have a lot of reps going into the game, and they balled out too. And just to know that this is the starting point, and like I said, we came out with a win against a good Big Ten opponent is exciting for our defense to know that we have nothing but room to improve.
Right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Zach Haskell, really
Thank y'all.
appreciate your time. Folks, we're going to bring up Lathan Ransom now. Yeah. We'll open up the floor. We'll go to the Tony Gerbin, Buckeye Scoop, and then Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com. Tony?
Lathan, when you were watching that replay, were you prepared to be thrown out of the game, or what was going through your mind?
Honestly, I didn't see. I didn't feel that it was targeting. I think I left my shoulder, and I didn't go high. But I wasn't thinking that. I was really thinking if it was a fumble or an incomplete pass.
So it wasn't even in your mind that they could have been looking at targeting or anything like that.
I didn't think so, but that's just my opinion.
Over here, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com. Over here to the right here. Like,
you had the opportunity to get on the field late last season to kind of get your feet wet a little bit in some big games. You had 2 guys starting at cornerback tonight who didn't have that opportunity, or this was really kind of a fresh debut for them. What kind of vibe were you sensing from them before the game, and just how do you feel like they played?
I think the same vibe that I was getting too, because this was my first start, so a little anxiousness, a little nervousness, but it's nervous because we care so much. And I think they handled themselves well, especially for being their first start, especially Denzel. I mean, true freshman out there, really did his thing, I think so. I think Warren Watts had a big play, that huge tackle on that 3rd down, and I think they both played really well and handled themselves really well.
over here, front row left, Austin Ward, Lettermen Row.
Lathan, it seemed like a couple times that Seven was going out there and it looked like he really just wanted to be back on the field or had some words for you guys. How tough was that for him to miss? What was he telling you guys?
It was definitely tough. He was giving advice to me, Ryan Watts, and Denzel throughout the whole game, just helping us, giving us tips of what he's seeing and stuff like that. I mean, Sev definitely wanted to be out there just as much as we all did, so I think it was definitely hard for him.
Anybody else? Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Yeah, Lathan, you guys were rotating a ton tonight, a lot of guys on defense. Just what's that like for you as a defensive player when you're going in and out of the lineup and you're playing with, different players on basically every series?
I think that our defense has so much chemistry and is just building. We rotate so much at practice, and I think that when you go in, it's just you make the best of your opportunity, and when you're not in, you support your brothers, and you hope that they do their best too.
One last question for Lathan, front row, Patrick Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Lathan, we were just talking to Haskell and Zach about the fumble and touchdown, but did you feel similar momentum shift on your play, that once they reviewed it, that kind of started to change things as well a little bit later in the game?
Yeah, I think definitely Haskell scoop and score. I think that definitely changed momentum. I think my play also did just a little bit. I mean, the offense was rolling throughout that whole quarter, and I think it definitely shifted momentum a little bit.
Lathan, thank you very much. Congratulations on the first start.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to bring Mayan will be our last interviewee of the day. Mayan Williams coming up to the podium right now. We'll open it up over here to the right. Stephen Means with Cleveland.com. Over here to the right there, Mayan.
Right here.
Mine, how are you feeling after you had that 71-yard touchdown in the opening drive?
It's like, it felt like a dream at first. Then I was like, just got to keep going. But it felt amazing, though.
So then when we don't see you again until maybe near the end of the first half, I guess, like, when you have that type of momentum, do you feel like you want to get back on the field as quickly as possible? And what's going through your mind? I mean, you just had a 71-yard touchdown, and now you're not playing.
Yeah, I feel like that's what, like, everybody, like, if you get a big play, you'll want to go back in. But I was really just, like, wanting to see everybody else play and how they play. I was just trying to get the win.
Right behind him, Adam Rittenberg, ESPN.
Yeah, Mike, how can guys like you and others who have played more, whether it's the receivers or tight ends, help a guy like CJ as he's just finally getting in there?
Just gotta like keep him in high spirits, you know, keep the energy good, positive.
And how do you think that went tonight, just overall, with him first half to how he played in the second half?
I think like at halftime, we really came together as a team. Was like we can't lose, so we just gotta keep going, find a way. That's what we did.
Over here to the left, Austin Ward, Lettermen Row.
Mine, I think every running back I've ever covered says that they need a bunch of carries to get in a rhythm. But you didn't have that luxury, still were performing pretty well. If you start getting more, I mean, will you be more comfortable, or are you fine with the way the workload worked out tonight?
I'm actually fine with it, like how it went tonight. As long as we got the win, I'm good.
Right behind him, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, we know you've got a very deep room to see Trey do what he did on that swing pass. And Tony Alford said he's had those wow plays in camp. When he got that swing pass and started to go, did you know that's a score?
Oh yeah, definitely. He definitely had some more crazy plays in camp, definitely. But yeah, when I seen him, I was like, yeah, he gonna get him one.
Right in front of him, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Mine, on your 71-yard run, you got to the edge really quickly and really ran away from everybody. What happened on that to get you so much green space?
To be honest, it was actually the wrong play. It was the wrong play, but I mean, it was just crazy.
How was it wrong?
Huh? I was supposed to go the other way.
So do you have to change the playbook now and set it up that way? It seems like
Nah, we just gotta fix it in practice.
Why did you switch then?
I mean,
Did you go the wrong way?
I was just in a rush trying to get the ball played, trying to get the ball snapped. Yeah.
Time for one more question, because we can.
Well, just it looked like all the blockers went in and you went out, so it was almost like they faked the defense. Is that what happened? Were you supposed to go inside?
Now, I was actually supposed to go to the left, and I ended up just going the opposite side. There wasn't nobody over there.
Can I just ask him real quick, the play before that, you go up the middle, it looked like you slipped, it looked like you were about ready to take it maybe to the house up the middle, and Coach Alford was screaming at you. I was standing on the sideline, he's like, now that you missed on one right there, just what happened? Are you thinking about that you gotta get one back on the next play?
Nah, I mean, if you have a bad play, I just like leave it in the past and focus on the next play.
All right, Mayan, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
What's your 40 time?
I don't know.